Morning, everybody that's joined already.
Morning.
How are you feeling today on this day that apparently Cape Town will be hit by a severe storm? Are you glad you're not on campus?
Yeah.
I believe you. I'm not so fortunate, but hey, it is what it is. So, welcome as everybody joins. Sit at the beginning. Just some admin. I'm going through the attendance as people are joining, just to make sure that we can double check later on with Moodle. Um, Jean-Pierre is here, Nafisha, Nicola just joined us now. Welcome back, Nicola. It's about a 50-50 again between Pretoria and Cape Town. Dylan is coming online now. Wayne, Taryn, Nafisha is here already too. Let's get everybody an opportunity to rise and shine. This is a bit early for lots of us. How's it up in Gauteng, guys? I mean, a bit chilly morning again?
Ja, sir, it's moose cold up here.
But that's your. I think. I mean, when I was watching the weather this morning, and I think for me, I spent 10 years between the age of between the age of 2 and 12, I spent in Gauteng, more specifically northwest, Klerksdorp, Potchefstroom, that area, and yeah, it is a bit of the weather is a like they call the winds, the lazy winds, because it doesn't blow around you, it blows through you. And I think that's pretty much how I've always experienced the weather up there on the high veld. It's crisp, to say the least. In Cape Town today, with the storm approaching, it's not raining yet. Serious drop in temperature, although yesterday morning I had some sleet on my windscreen for the first time. And it was at 3 degrees around about 8 o'clock. So it's strange weather across the globe, just unreal. Welcome as everybody joins. I'll give a minute or so usually at the start, just to make sure that as many people join from the start and we don't miss out on any valuable information or important information and then have to repeat it later on. A few things I just want to at the beginning, while I'm kicking off, as Sandra also joins us now. Let me just see. I've got, okay, who else is on this list already? Andre, Dylan, Fisher is here. Taryn has joined us. Right, people right at the start of the session, and as I said, you're more than welcome to provide us with any input. The experience, and I'm asking students as we go along on a daily basis, and I know you're chatting to your friends as well. Today I'm actually zooming from campus. I want to check it out as well and obviously see the stability of your internet connections when you've got not just one person sitting in a home office and maybe somewhere in the house, one of your teenage kids playing games online. It's definitely more stable, and I think yes, at this point I came to campus today just to make sure that also the same experience I'm experiencing the same year, because it is definitely more challenging being on campus with third years having contact classes, as well as all the lecturers each in a classroom. So obviously, yes, internet will be a bit of a could be, but it hasn't been so far. So I'm very fortunate, and I'm very happy that again our management has done a fine job in securing nice and stable internet for us to ensure that we can continue with the quality delivery to you. At the start of the session, I just want to bring into attention the following two things. When you go onto Moodle and you want to tick your attendance for the day, originally it was said that you will have the whole day to pick your attendance, but based on the first 2 days back into semester 2, Some students did not attend the Zoom session, but they ticked their presence on Moodle. So what we have done now is Moodle will still allow you as a student and expect you as a student to mark your own attendance every day, but your attendance will only be available for you to tick during the time that we have class. In other words, from 9:25 when this period started, right up to when the second period, because we've got back-to-backs this morning at 11:50. So I suggest that during that break that you have between the two lectures this morning, go onto Moodle if you can, and tick your attendance, because it will not be available to you for the entire day. And I think you understand the reasons why. Then also, if you go onto Moodle, one of the folders, and specifically the folder that says readers and additional notes, I've uploaded a one-pager with some links to articles regarding selling and sales during and post COVID-19, and there's also some videos, the ones I referred to in our first session, I think when we touched on the lucrativeness of careers in sales, and I specifically referred you to Grant Cardone, the self-proclaimed best salesperson in the world, who has his own university in America that trains salespeople. There's some videos, tips on how to be successful in sales, and also he's going through a training session with some of his staff. So I've uploaded that into a document. I will update it as we go along. So those specific, and you'll see that it specifically refers to additional resources, learning resources for chapter 1 and chapter 2. As we progress, I will update it as we go through each chapter. If we, I think today's session is specifically, we'll revert back to chapter 1, and we'll continue with, we haven't really started, we just did an outline of chapter 1. But in essence, people, chapter 1 is basically touching on a lot of information that you, having successfully completed business marketing as a module on this course already, it will not probably be fresh in your memories, but it will definitely ring bells for you, because we touch on a lot of things that specifically has been covered in business marketing, but also now relating it to where sales specifically fit into that whole marketing process or marketing strategy of a company. So some of the work, most of the work in chapter 1 would not be new to you. It's just done to ensure that we get a bigger picture of where everything fits in. So right, I'm going to share my screen with my PowerPoint, and then we can continue with chapter 1. People, please, at any point, unmute yourself. I'm going to admit Richard just as well, of Reinhard, sorry, I think has joined us now too. Welcome, Reinhard. You haven't missed anything. We haven't started yet with academic or curriculum-related work. Those guys in Centurion, you would be glad to know that I spoke to Mrs. Sontag yesterday. She's feeling much better. She's actually even thinking of going back to work tomorrow, although she has been booked off. But I'm glad to share with you that she is actually doing well. Chapter 1, as I said, specifically about the role of selling in the whole marketing process, because marketing is not selling and selling is not marketing. Selling is one of the activities that you do as a company to ensure that your business is marketed properly. Where marketing's overall objective, obviously, is to ensure that your potential clients, as well as your existing clients, know what is available, know which products and services are available, where they can find them, at what price they could find them, and The third P of marketing, promotion, or third P of the marketing mix, promotion, is where specifically selling fits in as one of the activities or components of the marketing communication mix. In other words, the methods that's available to convey that message to the consumer. In chapter 1, just to recap what we did on Tuesday, we are going to look at different types of selling. We're going to also address the characteristics of modern selling, and then distinguish between customer groups or markets. The reason why we're doing this is because marketing segmentation that you did in business marketing, now the importance of marketing segmentation would become evident to you, because marketing segmentation happens to ensure that your entire market, your big market, is broken up into smaller homogeneous groups that have similar characteristics. So your sales and marketing efforts could be focused on a specific target market that's more than likely going to be interested in buying your product or service. In other words, you're not wasting time and money by chasing somebody who's going to say no to you anyway, because they don't have the need or the means for a particular product or service. And then also the 4 orientations, or I think we're only addressing 4 orientations that businesses, or philosophies that businesses have towards marketing. In other words, your product, production, sales, marketing, and customer orientations, and where exactly and why they are important, and why all of a sudden do they pop up now again when we're doing a new module on sales and operations. Right. The main objective, people, for any effort that you do, when you pick up the phone, when you knock on somebody's door, when you're doing a presentation, is to get somebody to sign on a dotted line. You want to make a sale. However, it's if some of you think it is difficult to get to that point, to commit somebody and close the deal and to actually make the sale, it's actually not that difficult. What is difficult is the manner in which you do it. The manner in which you make the sale is extremely important, and it's become even more important nowadays in modern day selling. One of the students on a different group yesterday said to me that it's almost as if the salespeople have become more consumer friendly, in a sense of they are not trying to push you to make a sale. They are really interested in ensuring that your needs are met, and that they are part of the solution. And that's why people buy things and use services. They want to solve problems that they have. You guys as students, social animals that you are, constantly grazing, always hungry. I know, I've got a first year son in the house as well. And I can already, I mean, if I look very carefully, I can see that there's a specific route that down the passage into the kitchen, into the fridge, into the cupboard that he follows on the. It's like a dog running around the house. You can see if a dog runs that same route every day, that the grass starts dying there. And I'm pretty sure I have to replace my tiles in my passage in my kitchen soon, because that's what you guys do. So imagine that's the problem that you have. That need that needs to be satisfied. I'm hungry now. And if I continue talking, I'm going to get hungry as well. So people have needs that they need to fulfill on a daily basis. Our physiological needs, according to Maslow's hierarchy, the ones that we have to definitely satisfy on a daily basis to survive, are obviously the important ones to most of us. And therefore, the important aspect for me about modern day selling is to ensure that you're not chasing that, yes, you've committed, let's shake on it, the deal is done, It is actually to ensure that when the customer leaves, the customer must almost get, you must almost get to that point where the customer says to you, you know what, I've heard enough. I'm okay. I'm going to buy this. Rather than you trying to push them to make that final decision. Right, so all different new techniques and selling skills are used in the modern era. We'll address a few of them just now. Right. Selling, yes, as it says there on your slides, is very much a an act of a variety of activities, and they will all be different according to each situation that you find yourself in. Typical positions that can be fulfilled by salespeople, sales reps. We all know them. A friend of mine was actually a sales rep, sales representative, to use the full terminology, for British American Tobacco, Remgro, I want to call it, when in the old days, I'm talking about the 80s and the 90s, when they were still just selling cigarettes. And he always carried a packet of cigarettes in his top pocket because he obviously was a cigarette sales rep. And he did the job for 38 years. He never smoked a single cigarette. He was a non-smoker working for a company selling cigarettes. So it was, for me, that was, uncanny, because I mean, that doesn't really happen. I think I would be more comfortable in recruiting a salesperson who actually uses the products that he's trying to sell, because then he can talk from experience to his customers. Salesmen, people we find nowadays, estate agents, car salesmen, they all have different names. Some call them executives, sales consultants. And then I'm going to, hopefully we'll be able to link to this little video. I think the internet is probably going to not allow us to watch this little video. I'll try our best, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Nope, unfortunately not. Okay, let's see. Maybe we can. No, it's not going to happen. It's for you guys. It's also a clip in the additional resources that I've uploaded. A video clip you can watch. For those who haven't seen it, it's a short 3-minute video, basically, on Ray Kroc, the founder of, or the self-proclaimed founder of McDonald's, the well-known brand for US students. And it's quite interesting just to see, because he was a salesperson, and he was a salesman his whole life. He was just not selling hamburgers at the end. He was more sort of a property tycoon more than anything else. That particular diagram, people, that you find on page 5 in your manuals, is just to read. I'm not going to, at some point during the course, in a test or a class test or an exam, you'll find a question where I say, list the strengths and weaknesses of personal selling to me, with the pluses on the in the table, obviously reflecting the positives and the strengths, and the minuses reflecting the weaknesses. For me, the importance here is read through it, get an idea. It's just basically for you to take note of more than anything else. This figure that you'll find on page 6 in your manuals is, however, of greater importance to me. This is something that we will come back to on a regular basis when we continue through our through the chapters of this course. To me, importantly, however, is although it sort of illustrates all the characteristics of modern day selling, and on the next few slides we'll unbundle them individually. The important thing about this specific illustration is that that circle in the middle is right in the center, and that's the customer. The modern day salesperson focuses primarily on the customer. It's a customer-centered approach, and the customer will always be the important person staying right in the center of that picture. Once you forget that, unfortunately, you run the risk of not being successful in your business. Having said that, I read a very interesting article yesterday, and one of the quotes in the article, it was on I think Steve Jobs, former founder of Apple computers, and he actually said that everybody is wrong when they say that the customer is the important person in any sales transaction. He says that the employees of a company, they are the important ones, because if they haven't bought into the philosophy of the company, it will reflect in their activities and interactions with the customer. So in other words, if the clients are not happy, or if the employees are not happy with the product, if the employees are not happy with the way in which they have to sell it to the customer, although they will remain the center of attention, they will also experience that the salesperson is not that comfortable with the product or service that they're selling, and that just reflects negatively on the company. But let's look at each of these characteristics of modern selling individually, and we start off with customer retention and deletion. I think if you go back to marketing, you remember the Pareto principle, where 80% of your sales are generated by 20% of your customers. That is not a hard and fast rule, but it's pretty accurate. I have a background of involvement with a college that trained people to become coaches and Pilates instructors and yoga instructors and personal trainers. And for many, many years, I've battled with Virgin Active in regards to their sales, because this is their kind of approach where they spend 80% of their time and effort on the 20% of those customers. And although that equation and principle is correct, that the majority of your income comes from a very small percentage of your customers, it is a very risky approach. Because if something goes wrong with that 20%, then it definitely will have a huge impact on your business turnover in general. So although it's important to service those 20%ers that will guarantee you the 80% income every year, businesses have realized the importance, and for that specific reason, they've created positions for people to specifically take care of that 20%, and that's where that key account management comes in. They take, and it's very often a promotion for a salesperson, where they are given specific key accounts, and their only job is, because it is a loyal customer to your business, is to keep them happy. Service them, visit them, invite them to functions, go out your way for them to ensure that you still secure their business every time. So yes, it is important to put an extra effort in satisfying the 20%, but do not forget that there are 80% out there who might still be interested in your product and service. So it's a dual process where you continuously work through your key account managers with your 20% to keep them happy, and with your sales people basically doing the hard yards on the ground, and trying to secure more of the market share of that 80% who are not a loyal customer yet. Modern day selling also requires you to work databases. Actually, on the way in this morning to work, one of the people, the question that was posed on the radio was about the how secure is your personal information. You know, when you go into Pick and Pay and you buy a pizza, and then 2 days later you get a SMS or a WhatsApp from Scooters or from Debonair's to say, do you know about our pizza special? And you think, what? How did they know that? How did they actually find out? How did they know that I bought a picture? Or, you know, and that's sometimes mind-boggling. But people, I think it just underlines again the fact that um, no information almost is sacred nowadays. Every single time you visit the shop, every single time you swipe your card, that information is linked to a database. And there are companies who make their business out of selling these databases to businesses. In other words, your traditional way of sending salespeople out on the road and knocking on doors and going from one business to the other, like Ray Kroc did for his company, and in the process he stumbled upon McDonald's. It is not necessary to do that anymore. You actually are recruited by a company and employed to become a salesperson, and you are given a database that you can work off. So the cold calling is not necessarily cold or ice cold or Gauteng cold. It is actually a sort of a lukewarm database, because you have the names and the contact details. You don't have to source them. You just have to work that database. So working a database, and very importantly, updating that database correctly is also very important. How often, and just a couple of days ago, I got a WhatsApp from Toyota in Tiger Valley. Sir, according to our records, your Fortuner should be due for its 50,000 kilometer service now. I sold my Fortuner 3 years ago already. So it's also important that although we have access to these databases, that we capture the information correctly and that we update it correctly. Nowadays, with the technological advances that we've had, it is not it's not such a great challenge, fortunately, anymore for us to keep up to date and use and work our databases correctly and effectively. Customer relationship management. Now, customer relationship management is, as if I can go back to the first slide, is of the utmost importance, because that's what makes a customer-centered orientation work. The fact that you have the ability to establish long-term relationship with your customers. You want your customers to be able to consider no other options. Your brand, your product, your service is the one that springs to mind immediately when they have to make a particular purchase. So working or establishing customer relations is extremely important, and especially in modern day selling. And you must, if you do not have them, work on the qualities that you need or the skills you need to ensure that you do that with your customers. Marketing the product, people, is also in modern day sales are completely different to what it was in the past, where you actually had to pick up the phone, contact the person, establish what the goals and objectives are, what their needs are, get their contact details, set up an appointment to go and do a presentation to them, and then eventually try and convince them after you've listened to the objections on how to before you actually close the sale, and then that's it. That's where it stops. Nowadays, fortunately, it's not necessary to do that. A lot of sales happen electronically. That specific Fortuner that I referred to in a previous example that I sold 3 years ago, I actually bought in Knysna on one of my son's cricket trips. I didn't buy it there. I saw it there, and I bought it from Cape Town, and then the salesperson, drove through from Knysna with the vehicle. The paperwork was signed, and he drove back to Knysna with the vehicle that I traded for the Fortuner. So a lot of things have changed as to how the actual marketing of the product is done, and although in some businesses the face-to-face presentation is still very valuable. You're not going to buy something from somebody. You're not going to buy an expensive item from somebody if you haven't really spoken to anybody. I mean, I don't know. All of us have different caps on what we are spending or what we are prepared to risk to spend online, because not all of us are that comfortable with online shopping yet. Although, I mean, any idea? I mean, how many of you guys do online shopping on a regular basis? How many of you guys do online shopping?
Not really, sir.
Not
Like
you.
never.
What's your reservation? Why don't you? Is it a security thing or?
So firstly, I'm a student and I don't really have a lot of money.
Yeah, of course. Which is a lie. Students
Uh,
always have money.
but yeah, I don't really have any reservations about why I don't want to. But yeah, the money is probably
It's
the
in
thing.
your case circumstantial.
Yes, yeah.
Mm. No, I know, and I mean, as I said, I was quite surprised. My dad is 82, and I think it was more sort of by default that he now has become internet fundi, because I think it's probably because my sister's in Singapore and they've lived there for the last 17 years. So that's a means of communicating. So he was sort of forced into the new modern technology at that very late stage in his life. And the other day, actually, I was quite surprised that because he's in his old age home now, and he said to me, "Listen, can you just quickly pick up something for me at the shop, because I've actually bought it online." But they don't specifically deliver. I said, what? I thought I'd never hear it from him, but and I think, and he was a salesman his entire life. So I think yes, the modern customer has become a bit more comfortable with online shopping, but they still have the reservations. I'm not going to buy. To be honest with you, my cap on what I will buy online. In other words, what's the maximum risk financially I'm prepared to take? In other words, lose if I buy something and I get it because I haven't actually touched and seen it and walked out of it with the shop with it under my arm. And it arrives at my door and it's broken, or it's a different color to what I've actually that I bought. Is about 1,500 rand, and yeah, that's a lot of money. But that is my cap. I'm not going to order a 5,000 rand watch online. I mean, no, seriously. So, but some people are different. I know of people who buy in excess of 100,000 rand. They do all this stuff online. So I think yes, it's fine to use the home delivery services from Checkers and Mr. Delivery and Pick and Pay and buy all your day-to-day necessities, because it's usually not large amounts, and it's more sort of a convenience to order it online and have it delivered at your door than anything else. But I think a lot of people are still very skeptical about specifically the security related to online shopping. I think we've got about 3 or 4 minutes to go before the session finishes. I think I might be able to complete modern day selling's characteristics. Yeah, I think they're very important right at the top. Problem solving and system selling. Problem solving is the absolute essence of modern day selling to make you successful. If you can solve the problem of a customer, you will have a customer for life, provided obviously that that product works and actually does solve their problem. So by just offering them a product or a service that will address the problem that they have is half of the battle won. The fact that it actually does eventually solve that problem, because the product that they bought did work and it did solve that problem that they had prior to the purchase, they're going to not think twice about using that same product and buying that same product and buying it from the same company next time they need something like that. And eventually over that, the retention is good for the business because it improves your sales, and then eventually that becomes a loyal customer. And that's what all sales and marketing is about, to ensure that you have loyal customers, that become that 20% that gets you that 80% turnover. Satisfying the needs sort of ties in with problem solving. If you can satisfy somebody's need, again, you will have a customer for life. And I think here, very importantly, and I'll do that in closing, and then I'll end the session and we take a short 2-minute break before we continue. is to ensure that you're very alert. Very often people, and I've asked, and I've did it with some of my classes on campus as well. I said to them, listen, where do you stay and what route do you travel every day to class? Did you see this and this and this on that? No, I didn't see that. And sometimes we are surprised when you walk us, where did this new building come from? We are not very alert when it comes to observing things. And now a good salesperson would be very observant and pick up on where they can actually recommend something to a customer that might solve a problem or a need that they are actually not totally aware of yet. Like the example that it says there about the more efficient machinery. You can actually be visiting somebody for a different reason, and you pick up and say, listen, well, hang on. I mean, are you guys still using that apparatus? There's a much better product out there, and they might not even know that there's a product out there. So, yes, the observing and being very alert is extremely important to pick up on situations where you can actually create a need. Or pick up on a problem that the customer has that you need to solve and then offer them a solution in the form of a product or a service. Right, people, before everybody goes into a fit because we see a spider web there on the screen, let's just park it right here for the first session. I'm going to end the session at the moment, and we can resume, people. Let's give ourselves 2 or 3 minutes, go make a cup of coffee, and for those of you who need to do something else, let's resume, let's say 2-3 minutes time from now, and continue with this chapter. Okay, everybody good with that? All fine?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thanks, Shanae. I'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Thanks, Reinhard. Thanks, Darren.